Hey guys, Professor Bill, Comic Book University, and Star Trek Voyager Homecoming, issue number 1, a brand new Star Trek Voyager comic book from IDW. Now they're just ID though. It's the weirdest fucking thing. Anyway, it's their new logo. I have been a fan of Star Trek. I don't know, probably not as long as a lot of the guys watching this stuff, but for a really freaking long time, right? Of course, original series, sitting down, watching with my dad. Kirk was awesome. Spock was like the guy. Everybody, especially in Jersey, could relate with the doctor. I mean, our second language is sarcasm. What are you going to do? Anyway, I don't know what it was, but when I started watching Voyager, that was a special kind of thing for me. I didn't watch the first couple seasons. I think the first 2 seasons, whatever it was. And all of a sudden this thing happened where they got a Borg, 7 and 9. And I'm just like, this is probably the most creative thing I've ever seen. Doesn't hurt that she was really freaking hot too. I mean, Jerry Ryan, hello. But but I did decide, you know what? Was Star Trek good before Jerry Ryan? I went back and I started looking at them. Yeah, it actually was. It was really good. This is back when Channel 9 UPN was like the thing, and they would just flood us with Buffy the Vampire Slayer and Star Trek. I am going to tell you who made this comic book. And then after that, we're going to talk about what is probably going to be my favorite Star Trek comic book. And I've read one or two. Let's get talking about all that good stuff. So the writers are Susan Bridge and Tilly Bridges. They're both the Bridges, Susan and Tilly Bridges. The artist, Angel Hernandez. Colorist, Charlie Kirkhoff. That is a wild name. Charlie Kirkhoff. Wow. Is there a Kirk on? Kirk. Anyway, so Neil Uyatake on letters and design. I apologize for making fun of the colorist's name. Yeah, all that good stuff. This was good. So it's exactly like they say. Janeway gets all of them. All of them are able to get home. They get to Earth. They bring Voyager home to Starbase. And of course there's, and you'd figure there's going to be like fireworks and explosions and all sorts of really cool things. Phasers flying in the air. Right? But no, that doesn't happen. Instead, they're just sitting there hanging out. And they're talking, and it's very formal. And it's a shame. Because, I don't know, for me, I would think, shouldn't there be more? But it makes sense. At one point, something that just seems so completely, I don't know, simple. It's not even the entirety of a panel. It's a small little panel that just says that Tuvok has a headache. Right away, as soon as I'm like, aha, that's going to have something to do with something. So it turns out that when they land, they get 4 admirals coming to hang out with them, see what's going on, and to relieve Janeway of duty. She decides that for her last thing on Voyager, her last act, she's going to go and have a coffee. So what does she do? She goes to her quarters, goes to her replicator, coffee, black, hot. Same thing that she's done, I don't know about every episode, but almost every episode. I'm surprised she didn't hang out with Da Vinci while she was having this coffee. But it is what it is. I'm really surprised that all these guys didn't just say, yeah, we're going to leave this ship now. She even transferred command. We're going to leave the ship now, and we're going to go off and we're going to hang out with our family. I have a feeling I know why that didn't happen. I don't want to spoil anything, but I have a feeling I understand. Either way, even if I'm 100% correct in this, I don't care. This is a really fun book. The characters actually feel like themselves. The Doctor, Mr. Hologram himself, he's out there hologramming. He's talking about being a thespian and all this good stuff. What do you call it? Paris is not in this book enough, but that's fine. Oh my God. They gave a reference to some of the good times and the bad times that they had. And one of the bad times, they showed 2 lizards. They showed 2 lizards. And it's like, yeah, some things that we're never going to talk about again. Which is exactly what she said. There was this one episode where Janeway and Paris were brought onto this planet, turned into lizards, and they mated, and she had a bunch of his babies, a bunch of his lizard babies, and then they got turned back human again, and she was like, we're never going to talk about this again. So the Bridge sisters, I imagine they're sisters, the Bridges sisters decided, well, we're going to talk about it again. Oh my God, I wonder if they're related to Todd Bridges. Oh, that'd be pretty cool. You guys remember Willis, right? What you talking about, Willis? Anyway, I love that these guys have actually watched these series, and it's not about, look, so far as I can tell, this is not going to be like a Discovery where they're trying to push something stupid on us. No, these are people who, these writers, they're people who seem to understand the characters, and they're giving us a good story. Just a good Star Trek story. The art in this, awesome. This is great for a Star Trek comic book, right? There's nothing magical. IDW has, you know how Jack Kirby was kind of like the blueprint for all of Marvel, right? It seems like all of the IDW comic books have a very similar art style where it blends in with everything and everything can be blended in with it. Okay? What does that equal? Boring? No. It equals something that feels IDW. I think that's a brilliant idea. I could be wrong about this, but that every time I read an IDW comic book, that's the same thing I feel every single time. And I think it's great to have that style, to have just a style for your comic book. Look, there's going to be some people who aren't going to like it. This is so general. It's, I don't see why anybody wouldn't like this per se. It's not like, you're saying, I'm going to take Bill Sienkiewicz and I'm going to have him be the layout for everything that we do. What if somebody doesn't like his particular style? I don't think there's anybody who's not going to like this particular style. It is what it is. The colors pop off. They're great. This is a really well done comic book. The story. I don't want to spoil anything, guys. But the way the story is being played out right now, and it's quick. I'm not going to say this feels like a Star Wars comic because it doesn't. And I think most Trek fans would be really upset if it were like that. Trekkers, not Trekkies. They'd be really upset if it was just, phasers popping out, boom, 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 just blasting each other all the time, right? Somebody comes out with a big phaser sword and phaser chokes somebody. No, it doesn't happen. But it gets right into some action, and it feels like, I don't know, in some ways like the Paramount Star Trek, where things actually happen instead of just people standing around bridges complimenting each other. Oh my God, the bridges. It makes sense now. The two writers. I'm going to say this is a pretty good comic book. For a first issue especially, to get me like waiting for the next issue, I'm looking forward to that. There seems to have been some issues with the Star Trek issues. For instance, I'm also going to be reading Red Shirts issue number 2. Why did it take so long for issue number 2 to come out? Has it been a year? It feels like it's been about a year. That's not cool. I'm really hoping I don't have to wait another year for issue 2 of Star Trek Voyager Homecoming. Just my personal preference. Anyway, guys, I'm enjoying this. If you're a Trekker, I think you're going to like this too. Very down to earth. Pretty good for Voyager, right? And there's something there. There's a long game here. I really hope this is going to be more than just a lousy 5 issues. I hope they're just going to keep going with telling some good Star Trek Voyager series adventures. Anyway, I'm going to leave it at that. Like the video. Watch an ad. Professor Bell, Comic Book University. Class dismissed.